tell me about your week. How have you been feeling since our last session?
It's been okay, I guess. The usual ups and downs.
Resistance. The quiet force in the room that bends every session before a single word is spoken. You tried everything you know, and somehow the harder you try, the worse it gets. You find yourself wondering why you pour so much into the work, only to walk out drained and already dreading the next session. When these moments pile up, they can make you quietly question your confidence. And the worst part, you do not talk about it. And even if you do, you get those ready-made answers like, it's the resistance, there's nothing you can do. And you walk away still carrying the weight alone. Resistance is not a lack of motivation. It is not unwillingness to change. It can be part of it, but at its core, it is a natural psychological force. It is familiar to all of us. Think about the moment when you know you should do something, yet you postpone it for tomorrow, and then for the day after, even though you know tomorrow will not make it easier. That is resistance. If it appears in ordinary life, it is no surprise that it shows up even more strongly in therapy, especially when clients approach the parts of themselves that feel most painful or least acceptable. So, it is not surprising that resistance can make or break the psychotherapy process. And it's not just me saying it. Study after study points to the same thing. Resistance shapes the outcome. High resistance predicts slower progress and higher dropout, while therapists who adjust their stance to resistance get far better results than those who simply switch techniques. And therapists often miss resistance when it shows up in subtle or polite forms. Some research even claims that resistance is the single most important factor in determining the success or failure of therapy. So it should not be surprising to say that working with resistance is one of the most important skills a therapist can develop. So what does this mean for you as a therapist? Most therapists approach resistance from what I call the asymmetric approach. Resistance is seen as something that belongs entirely to the client. From that perspective, several things occur. Some therapists push harder than the client, trying to move the work forward, while the client's protective system pushes back. The session slowly becomes unbalanced. One person working, the other resisting. Others quietly step back, concluding that the client is in resistance and that there is nothing they can do. Some blame the client, some blame themselves. Either way, the process stalls. But there is another way of working, a symmetric approach, an approach in which resistance is understood as a shared process that includes everything the client brings and everything you bring. Your delivery of the treatment, your stance in the relationship, your understanding of why the resistance is there, and your ability to recognize the role it plays in the client's internal world. From this stance, resistance becomes workable. You can see what it protects, why it appears, and how it can be transformed into a clear path forward. Everything changes the moment you understand resistance. You no longer wonder whether the client is resisting or your approach is off. You stop moving through the session on guesswork. The doubt settles because you can finally see what is happening. You see what sits underneath and why the same patterns keep returning. Moments that once felt like landmines become predictable and workable. Sessions stop draining you because you are no longer fighting the wrong battles or pushing harder than the moment allows. Your confidence grows because the hardest moments now make sense. You leave sessions steady, clear, and with enough energy for your own life. And clients feel the direction and the structure. They stop resisting you. The only resistance left is the one inside them. And what is strange, now that you see how important resistance really is that there is still no training that brings all of this together into one coherent system, both your side and the client's side. You learn pieces of it in different models, but never in a way that fits into a single structural map you can actually use in real time. Nothing that shows you how to read resistance as a whole system, or how your presence shapes it. Nothing that helps you turn those resistant moments into a clear path forward. That gap was exactly the problem I set out to solve. Hello, my name is Vladimir and I'm a psychologist training Gestalt therapy and other modalities, and it took me more than a decade of practice to really come to terms with this problem. I had training techniques and a solid conceptual grasp of resistance, yet once resistance began shaping the process, none of it translated into effective work. I saw many colleagues struggling in exactly the same way, and the real difficulty was learning how to take resistance in all of its forms and turn what felt like a wall into a clear path forward. Across different modalities and schools, the existing models each held part of the picture, but nothing unified it. To move forward, I had to build a missing framework. This meant working across modalities, taking what was most useful from each. I built a framework using the most useful elements from parts-based models like IFS and schema therapy, connected them with the relational field found in psychodynamic and Gestalt therapy, and tied that together with the practicality of CBT and many other approaches. The result is the multimodal approach to psychotherapy and the symmetric approach to resistance. A single model that shows how everything you know finally fits together, with a special focus on practical usefulness rather than theoretical purity. This model is not here to replace your modality, but to serve as a trans-theoretical framework that brings modalities together. As more and more therapists use more than one modality, this framework bridges the gap between them. Before we go further, here is what you gain in this course. You will learn to read resistance like a map, instead of fighting a wall. You will learn to predict and anticipate resistance before it appears. You will understand how resistance connects to personality structure and why it brings you to the core of the problem. You will learn how to translate client problems and goals into a clear treatment pathway. You will avoid the common therapist mistakes that amplify resistance. You will learn a step-by-step protocol designed to minimize resistance from the very first session. You will build the competence and confidence to navigate resistance. You will know what part of the resistance is the client's and what is yours, so you can influence what belongs to you and respond wisely to what does not. And this is only the beginning. So, how do we do all of this? We begin with the client's side of the symmetry. You will see how resistance emerged historically, how it connects to personality structure, and why it leads directly to the core of the problem. Then we go one layer deeper and explore how resistance protects the client's identity, something no existing model maps clearly. You'll learn a simple structure that brings all of this together. Then we turn to your side of the symmetry. You'll learn the common errors that amplify resistance, how your internal system interacts with the clients, and how issues like the lack of mutually agreed upon goals or unexamined distortions can quietly lead to unfavorable outcomes. Finally, in the third module, we bring both sides together. Clear, practical protocol guides you from the first session onward. How to pace resistance, how to read it, and how to turn it into a pathway that truly honors the client's goals. And to make this real, you will watch the entire process unfold through the case of Mary, a client with severe binge eating and a history of eating disorders, whose symptoms went into remission as we followed this exact structure. This training is for therapists who want to work with resistance respectfully and effectively. This training gives you almost a full weekend of material stripped down to what actually matters. And considering how central resistance is and how much frustration it creates in the room for both you and your clients, this is a small investment compared to what it gives back. Now, if you feel some resistance to buying this training, that's great. That is exactly what resistance does. Protects your time, your attention, and your resources until something feels worth it. Resistance is always there, simply there is no way around it, and the outcome of therapy depends on how well you work with it. You can ignore the resistance, but resistance will not ignore you. Now, if you choose so, see you on the other side. And yes, we also have their really cool handouts.